E3 2017 has come and gone, and even though the overall show wasn't as good as previous years, there were still a number of gems shown off. So here I'm going to do a personal count of my top 10 games plus 3 that caught my interest the most. Now, I'm not saying that the games on here are necessarily going to be better than the others when they are released. In fact, some of them barely have any content shown. Nor do I think that the games not on this list are going to be bad. This is just a list of games that got me excited the most in the context of E3 itself. So with all that said, let's get started. Let's begin with the Darwin Project. This game looks like a free-for-all mixed with Team Fortress mixed with Evolve. Even though the most memorable thing about this game was the awkward screaming announcer during the Microsoft presentation, having looked into some of the gameplay demo afterwards got me excited. I really like the survival element. The way it isn't just you trying to avoid being killed by other players, but also surviving the environment itself. I don't know if this will be executed to its full potential, but we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't take too much inspiration from Evolve, especially in the realms of its season pass. I don't know what to make of Cuphead. It speaks to the fan of classic animation inside me, but other than that, I can't explain why I'm so excited for it, besides the fact that it just looks fun. And that is all the game needs to be fantastic. I guess I'll find out in September how enjoyable it is. For number 11, we have a tie between God of War 4 and Middle-earth Shadows of War. Let's discuss God of War first. To be honest with you, I was not planning to purchase this game at all. I'm really fond of the first 2 games in the series, and I have played every single entry since. But about halfway through Chains of Olympus, I realised that I wasn't playing the game because I was enjoying it. Instead, I was pushing myself to keep going because of the epic Greek mythology, the characters involved, the grand plot, and the cutscenes were absolutely amazing. This was because of how similar combat felt between each entry, and I personally began to find that boring. I didn't notice this in the PS2 era because the series was new, but the following games didn't diversify enough for my liking. However, after seeing the gameplay at Sony's E3 for God of War 4, it looks like the combat mechanics have changed enough that it will feel refreshing to play through the games again. This is in no small part thanks to the Blades of Chaos no longer being strapped to Kratos. Hopefully I'm correct on this one and I can enjoy the game for its combat again. As for Shadow of War, even though I'm not that into Lord of the Rings, I found the first game to be a surprise hit, and the Nemesis system is something I wish more games would adopt. The only fault with Shadow of Mordor for me was that the open world didn't have enough variety, which led me to playing the game in short half-an-hour bursts, taking a break, then playing it again, so I didn't get bored of the environment. So, along with a better Nemesis system, more enemy types, and the ability to recruit the orcs, I'm hoping that this upcoming entry adds more locations that feel completely different from each other. Other than that, I can't wait. This was a surprising reveal at Microsoft's conference, since they have such weak sales numbers in Japan, but maybe this is their attempt to appeal to that region more. Watching the trailer for Dragon Ball FighterZ gave me flashbacks to Budokai 3, a game I put a lot of hours into back in the day. The Xenoverse games are great and all, helping you immerse into Akira Toriyama's universe with your own character, but the depth of fighting just isn't there. Nor is it there in any Dragon Ball Z game really. Even though I might be wrong, from the trailer it seems as though this game is trying more to be a competitive fighter. Either way, I'll end up buying it because I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan and the visuals here are a love letter to people like me. I like the Assassin's Creed series a lot. So much so that to avoid franchise fatigue from annual releases, I only play an Assassin's Creed game once every 3 years. Most recently I played Black Flag, meaning that with my schedule, I'm not due to play Origins till early 2030. However, I might make an exception this time because this entry has piqued my interest. It's being released after a 2-year gap, breaking the annual mold. It's based in Egypt, which along with feudal Japan are my dream settings for the series. It's the origin story of the Assassin Order. It has RPG mechanics, and at last it has a revamped combat system that appears to be inspired by Breath of the Wild. I'm hoping all this will come together to make it the most groundbreaking entry since Assassin's Creed 2. Who saw this coming? Except for everyone who saw the leak obviously. But who actually saw it being good? It was mostly assumed after seeing the Rabbids that this game would just be another cash cow for both Ubisoft and Nintendo, with maybe another party game. That could not be further from the truth here. This is an XCOM style turn-based strategy game that just happens to feature the cast of the Mushroom Kingdom and the Rabbids. Even after seeing the incredible gameplay, the mashup of the 2 series sounds ridiculous in my head. But more than anything, what got me excited for this game is the passion the development teams at Ubisoft Milan and Paris have. From the interviews and behind the scenes, you can tell that this isn't just another game that they're making because it's their job. No, for them, this project is a dream come true, and they want to deliver the best experience they can, but still, I wish they'd gone with Rayman over their Rabbids. Apart from the Monkey Island series, I can't think of a single memorable Pyro game. There is Zack and Wiki, but that doesn't really count. And that is the second main reason I'm looking forward to Sea of Thieves, a good Pyro game. Humour appears to take a front role here, which is nice to have in a sea of serious games that the industry churns out. The presentation showed you can do everything a pirate does, from finding treasure to boarding ships. The only thing missing is the rape and excessive drinking, but I don't see that being included. The main reason I'm looking forward to this game though, is Microsoft finally treating Rare right. No more avatars or Kinect games. The studio deserves to reclaim its past glory days. Spider-Man 2 is probably still the best film-to-game adaptation there is, and the reason for that is that you genuinely felt like Spider-Man. After that, no game apart from Ultimate Spider-Man has managed to recapture that feeling, but Insomniac seems hell-bent to change this. From the gameplay shown, it looks as though they're borrowing fighting mechanics from the Arkham series, but since Spidey is a much more fluid combatant than Batman, the combat should be more fun here. But the main draw of this game is still the same as it was in 2004, web swinging through Manhattan, and it appears that Insomniac has nailed that. The only worry I have with this title is the possible over-reliance on QuickTime events. That would seriously ruin the magic, so hopefully it's kept to a minimum. This was a surprising reveal. Even though there had been rumours that Sony had paid Capcom for a console-exclusive Monster Hunter 5 that would appeal more to Western audiences in order to try and take Steam away from the Switch in Japan, those rumours were thought as being debunked. And most of it is still debunked because Monster Hunter World is a multi-platform game except for the Switch, and isn't Monster Hunter 5. But it is an open world game that looks stunning. Whilst it does seem to do away with a few traditions of the series, the jump to significantly more powerful hardware than the 3DS should add more than it takes away, and since Double Cross is not coming to the West, this is the best bet for most of us. The rest of you can keep your Halos and Gears of War. For me, Ori is by far the best series Microsoft has ever published. At the time that it came out, Ori and the Blind Forest was in my opinion the most beautiful game ever made, and to this day, it's still the best looking 2D game I've ever seen. On top of that, the game was an emotional journey. So when I saw the reveal for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, I knew it would be a day one purchase for me. Based on previous trailers and footage of Mario Odyssey, the game was already shaping up to be one of the best of this year. But after the new trailer during the Nintendo Spotlight was shown, this game went to a whole new level. The concept of Mario being able to possess his enemies is something that opens up the imagination to different ways of tackling the game. And it's a Mario game, thus it's bound to be charming, fun, and with perfect controls. It honestly looks like the best 3D Mario platformer ever made. It will be interesting to see how it performs against Assassin's Creed Origins since they both release on the same day. Metro is one of my favourite series in the past decade. It gripped me with its immersive gameplay that did enough to stand out from the endless wave of military shooters. From a technical perspective too, the series has pushed graphics to new levels, and Metro Exodus looks to be carrying that spirit on. Not much to say on it, just that it's a new Metro game, which says everything. The dream has come true at E3 2017, twice over. Beyond Good and Evil is a classic, and to me, along with Assassin's Creed 2, it is Ubisoft's finest achievement. I actually played it a month ago after 10 or so years because I was really in the mood for it for some reason, and it still holds up. Beyond Good and Evil 2 being announced as a Switch exclusive was my wildcard prediction for E3, so at least I was half correct. The other game to take the E3 crown is the Metroid Prime 4 logo. 10 years fans have been waiting for this, and Nintendo is finally delivering, as they should. I played the trilogy last year, and the first Prime game has to be one of the best games of all time. It will be interesting to see where Nintendo takes Prime, since they declare the series non-canon for other M, but whatever, it's happening at least. Now, you could say that it isn't fair to place these two games at the top because nothing was shown besides a CGI trailer and a logo. But like I said at the beginning of this, it's all in the context of E3 itself, and no other games got me more excited at this year's show, not even close. I look forward to the return of two of the best female protagonists in all of gaming.